announced that it will be a high-tech standardization demonstration park. Then they announced, and all of this is happening in 2005, one after another. Then they said it will be a national pilot park of intellectual property. Then they announced that it will be a national pilot base for intellectual property promoting trade projects. And what they had announced in 2005 and 2006, they started achieving after 5 years. Some of them after 10 years. For example, it was declared as a world-class science park in 2010. It was declared as a national innovation demonstration zone in 2015. And in 2016, they announced that this will be the first China pilot free trade zone. So they declared Xi'an as a free trade zone. Just to, in a short 1 minute, I'll cover some of the statistics because of these. It's a 155 square kilometer space. Today, there are 180,000 registered entities in Xi'an. 180,000 registered entities. They had a turnover in 2017 of around $200 billion from that high-tech zone, out of which $38 billion was in the space of semiconductor and electronics. $38 billion. And it's not the largest one in semiconductor and electronics. It's, I think, third or fourth. Beijing and Shanghai are much bigger. 100 of the Fortune 500 companies are established over there. And like we are doing in Mysuru, we are selecting vertical areas to focus upon, or in other beyond Bangalore projects, we are identifying that. In Xi'an, they identified optoelectronic information, intelligent manufacturing, biomedicine, automobiles, new materials, new energy. These would be their focus areas. They commercialized more than 110,000 inventions, which they created from 2003 until now, which is less than 20 years. 110,000 commercializations have been done. So you can imagine how much of innovation is happening in these spaces over there. And this is local innovation. Then they announced in, I think it was 2018, that they will invite outsiders also, foreign companies to come in and generate IP over here, which can be converted or commercialized. So they created a focus on that. They designed the entire place. And it was like Mysuru. Xi'an is a very, very old district. The current Chinese president comes from there. He carries the Z from Xi'an. There is, I think, a very important work with along with assistance from construction companies and world's best of companies and designers, and all of them architects. Like in the previous panel, it was being talked about that we need world-class construction to happen. The entire place was designed to ensure that the old Xi'an district is preserved. It's not disturbed. It's not spoiled. So if you go over there, you will see old monuments, old historical places, everything pretty intact and actually more beautified than before. So we need to do similarly in Mysuru, and I felt this is something important to establish before we start getting into the technology space.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Deepak. I'll come to Ruchir. Now, he's a person who has also worked globally in multiple locations. So when you look at a new place coming up in the ESDM ecosystem, what would you consider as the most important parameters that we should start focusing on day one?
I don't think I'm unique in having seen other places, right? But I will share my perspective, and I'll do it very quickly. If you look at, and if I look at all these places who we name, like Xi'an was mentioned, and many other cities, they focus on two things with equal importance. One is materials, second is people. Now, when we look at material, they focus on material when it is in motion, material when it is in production, and after production when the material goes to the market. So all of that ecosystem, they enable first before anything happens. The second thing that they focus on is people, because we're talking of creating a new cluster in a new city. People are not going to arrive instantly. They will come from somewhere. So people also be in motion. And then when people come here, majority of the people are going to be a younger workforce. So when we look at Mysuru, as we build the cluster, younger generation, which is more open to relocation, more open for the career opportunities, is going to move here. What does Mysuru have to offer to them? Now, when Prashant Kishore was talking earlier today, he talked about schools. So all of these things are done by these cities before anything comes up. So my thing is focus on materials, focus on people as the core, and then whatever is required to make those movements easy, let's do that.
Thank you, Ruchir. I will now come to Venkata. He's a person who worked in US, built, came to India, started a design services company, product IP company. So he has seen both sides of the world. Now, if you were to come tomorrow and you are considered to be one of the potential investors in Karnataka sometime in the near future, what would you consider as the most important 2 parameters or 3 parameters, where you will feel, yeah, this is what I want, this is available, let me go ahead?
Sure, Krishna. So I'll give you a little bit background. I think he already given you a hint. So I've been in Silicon Valley for the last 32 years. So I finished my master's, ended up in IDT, Integrated Device Technology. And they were one of the leading manufacturers of SRAM chips. So we had we were all in within like 1 mile radius campus. We had a building where we were doing the design, and next building we were doing the actual fabrication. So we had a fab next to our this thing. And then we also had an OSAT center within a mile from there, where we were actually packaging and testing the chips. Fab SCL, let's not completely say that. And but there is no real, fab in India that's really addressing the world, market, like doing real production, or even an OSAT. So that's where I really started thinking about, let's start doing something in this area, and I'll come back to that later. So, I mean, here we have Ajay Jalan here, and I think it's a public news that he announced that, there is going to be a fab in Mysuru. That is one of the main reasons, I'm really started interested, looking at Mysuru. Then I made a couple of trips to Mysuru, and, I visited a couple of EMS facilities here. Keynes is one of them, Cyient has one smaller one. I think they're doing very well in that area, in the system level. And again, for the real semiconductor manufacturing, again, we need one company, I mean, who can anchor this. And Ajay Jalan's proposal looks excellent. It looks very, implementable. I mean, it can happen. I mean, something like that can really change the whole ecosystem here. And as far as I'm concerned, if I had to come and do something in this manufacturing, right? One thing I look at is definitely ease of doing business with. And so far, my interactions with KDM, they've been exceptionally, good. They've been very proactive and friendly.
Day one, when you are going to do the groundbreaking, what would you like to see as the wow factor in Mysuru for you to get going?
Thank you, Krishna. As you are aware that we have been trying to get the semiconductor fab in India from 2006 onwards, wherein I was instrumental in creating Fab City in Hyderabad, and for some reason the fab didn't come at that point of time. And 15 years later, in 2020, when the government of India again initiated this fab thing, we have been in discussions with the technology partners like Tower for analog fab, UMC for digital fab, and with AMD also as an IP partner for x86 architecture. For location part, we have been studying and identifying several sites in the country, including Dholera in Gujarat and Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, in Noida. What attracted me to the Karnataka and Mysuru specifically is that I have spent most of my career in Bangalore from 2000 to 2010. And when the proposal came for in Karnataka, and the government of Karnataka gave us several sites like Tumkuru, Dubli, Harvard, and Mysuru. After having seen all those locations, I immediately zeroed down in Mysuru for three reasons. First of all, that I would be back to my home state, where I have spent most of my career. So that was the first factor. Second factor was that all the infrastructure which is required for semiconductor fab in terms of water, power was there. And third important factor was the quality of living for the high grade talented engineers that will be working around 1500 or more in that fab. What my main concern was that these people should have a quality of living, and I found Mysuru to be the place which will give that quality of living to the manpower. So this is the region that we have selected, Mysuru, and we have been working with government of Karnataka and KDM to build all the infrastructure in place for fab to groundbreak by the end of the year once the government of India gives the approval.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And the gesture from Next Orbit Ventures along with your technology partner forming ISMC and announcing Mysuru as the place where you'll set up the fab has completely, excited and invigorated the environment in Mysuru for sure. And I think the opportunities that it provides in employment, in being considered as a high-tech place, is something which I think the Mysoreans are now getting aware of more and more as the day progresses. Now, I think I'm looking at the clock and we are short of about 5 minutes. It's a short duration panel. But let me go around and ask each one of you, if we were to pick, just say, one specific aspect where the government should put absolute focus to make this as a high-tech manufacturing, design and manufacturing space or a place for electronics and semiconductors, what would that be? I'll start with Ajay first and then go the other way around.
So I think the fab coming into the place in Mysuru will attract the most of the design companies to be there, because the timing will be great in terms of getting all the PDKs and designs and all those things. So what my interactions with being on the BLI panel also, the Government of India sponsored scheme for supporting design companies. So far, we have evaluated around 15 design companies, and most of the biggest challenge for all of them was that availability of fab in India is the key driver to make it happen or not happen, the design part of it. So I think getting the fab in Mysore as soon as possible will attract the design companies automatically.
Okay, thank you. Venkata, what would you say?
Can you repeat your question again?
Oh, basically, for you to come and start happily with a wow factor on day one, what is that one factor that you are looking for, or one input where the government should completely focus on and say that, oh, Venkata, come here, you have it. What is that factor?
No, I won't get in there, but I'm talking about the overall environment here, right? I'm talking from top down. The MIT is announced to increase the 30% capital subsidy to 50%. So that is one thing should motivate people to come to India. In addition, the Karnataka government, their ESDM policy, they are one of the first states in the country to say, hey, we're giving additional 20%. That's the second thing. It's an icing on the cake. Then the third thing, within Karnataka, where it is. I mean, so far, whatever I've seen in Mysuru, it looks very positive, right? It's a nice city, it's clean, and it has a land available around it. The infrastructure is there. I think it should be improved further. I mean, the connectivity and other things, the airport, all these things, I don't have any problem. I think they will fall in place once things start happening, right? So, but one aspect, slightly, I'm going to digressing a little bit. Yesterday also in the meeting, one of the guys said, Bangalore used to be #1 cleanest city, and then it became number 8. So I've been living in Silicon Valley for the last 30 years. If any of you have visited San Jose, so we have something like it's called Guadalupe River. So on one side, we have the Intel factory. On the other side, we have this huge AMD's office today. I mean, Intel has actually a fab right next to it. But even today, after 30 years, we still, there is a walking path, biking path on the river. We go every day, and the water is clean. We see so much wildlife around it. And in fact, we find so much fish in it, actually living. So in India, I mean, if you go to any city, Hyderabad, Bangalore, and these things, I don't think you can find any water body or a lake that's clean enough for fish to live in. So in Mysuru, at least, I request people, the growth is coming. You have to react upfront. You can't wait until 30 years and say, let's clean up the city. Please put a blueprint right now and say, these are the water bodies we need to protect and keep them clean, and whatever the development happens. That's one recommendation I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Venkata. Excellent. Yeah, it's not just technology, not just people, but the environment. Over to you, Ruchir.
Well, again, I want to answer your question of what one thing I want, because Sanjeev won't let me get off the stage. Because he'll promise that one thing and he'll ask me to make a commitment right here. But, the one thing I believe is that one big advantage that Mysuru has is that it is what Bangalore was 35, 40 years ago. And then Bangalore happened. Some intentional, some because of neglect. So there is this opportunity that Mysuru has to not let that happen, because we are just starting now. We have the opportunity to plan better. Venkata said the same thing. The other thing I want to point out is there is no need for Mysuru to compete with Bangalore. Let's look at it as a twin city concept. There are lots of things that Bangalore brings to the table. Mysuru can take advantage of those and make them better, right? We talk of Minneapolis, St. Paul. We talk of Seattle, Tacoma. Twin city concept, because of the proximity of Mysuru, because of the access to all the companies, because of access to all the talent, and the same management that manages both cities at the top level, at the government level. Let's take advantage of that. Let's not compete and plan better and execute better.
Thank you, Ruchir. Excellent. So let me now go with the same thing to Deepak. And Deepak, what would it be that you will say is the government of Karnataka, KDM, and all the policymakers together should focus on, so that when they come for design and manufacturing in electronics, they all feel, hey, this is what we wanted, this is available here, let's get going. What is that one factor?
Quite a few things in the list, but what I would say is that one good thing about Karnataka is the speed of decision making. Compared to any other state in the country, we have huge strengths over here. When we are shifting a city from just a people city to an industrial or a mixed city, it's important that the administrative setup of the city needs to be changed. We cannot have the same administrative structure managing this kind of a change. The second thing which is required is the infrastructure. Unless we have, and my fellow panelists have spoken about it, and I spoke about how Xi'an was done. Look at the airport, for example. In electronics industry, the most important element for evacuation or for bringing in raw material is the airport. And the airport has a short runway in Mysuru. I was talking to the people connected to the airport. There's no plan to get a 747 to land at Mysuru airport for a long time. If we want proliferation of semiconductor and electronics to happen, it's important that 747 lands at the airport. So the airport infrastructure and similarly other infrastructure needs to be spruced up.
Okay, thank you. I think let me take only one item from my side. For the industry to feel, when they look at it from 10,000 feet and globally, and try to put focus on India, and if they want to see Mysuru as the place to go, I think there has to be one pull factor, at least one pull factor. And I would consider the pull factor, and go back to Silicon Valley 30 years back. What pulled industry there? Predominantly is the institutes like Stanford and UC Berkeley and things like that. So I think it's very important for a beacon to be here, created, and this is where the government has to put its might to get IISc to start an R&D center, Stanford to start an R&D center, MIT to start an outpost, whichever way it works. But you have to put a light post and a beacon, say that, hey, this is the place where you get the best-in-class talent for R&D. Talent can be trained and built, but R&D requires a huge institutional support. And I think that's something which I would put right on top of my list, along with whatever my panelists said: transparency, strategy, ease of doing business, ease of getting approvals, and stay focused and innovate, materials and people, the moment of that, predictability. And one best example I can give of predictability is Singapore, right? You can assure your customers that this consignment will leave the factory at 5 p.m. It will reach the airport at 6, customs cleared and on the flight by 7 p.m. That kind of predictability. I think this is something which Mysuru has to build as a part of its culture. A quality of living, design ecosystem, and cleanliness and water bodies and ease of decision making which already exists, don't lose it. I would say, I think Mysuru ticks many boxes, and Mysuru can tick the other boxes pretty quickly. But 2-3 of them are very, very important. And if I think the administration, KDM, government, and the industry comes together to make it happen, I think when someone looks at India from Europe or US or Japan, they should see Mysuru as much as they see today Bangalore or Hyderabad or Noida. I will conclude here, and thank you very much for all my panelists for your time and joining it today.
All right, we have a small question from
Thank
the
you.
CEO.
Thank you, Krishna.
Before Deepak and Ajay move to the screen, we are setting up a center of excellence in partnership with an institution here, and Venkat, you visited that institution earlier visit as well. On the semicon, especially on the testing and assembly side of the part of it, I want all five of you to be on the board of that organization. Say yes, that's it, and then the session ends.
Sure.
Absolutely. Thank you. Ajay, just thumbs up. Deepak, just thumbs up if you can hear me. Can they hear? I think I'm here. Okay, things are frozen. We'll take it up with them separately as well. Thank you for three. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. Mysuru is such a wonderful city that nobody can say no to. Our panelists just proved that. So thank you so much to see Mysuru, the new ESDM brand. We kindly request the panelists to please stay back. Special thanks to people who joined us live, both of them. But we kindly request Mr. Vivek Saxena, the Senior Advisor, ESDM and KDM, to please come forward, present to momentous to our esteemed the panelists on stage. So, Daviton Jora the Chapale Banbidi, please. Let's hear it for Mr. Ruchir Dikshit, Vice President and Country Manager, Simons. We have with us Mr. Venkata Simhadri, CEO and MD of Moschip Technologies Limited. We also had with us a moderator, Mr. K. Krishnamurthy, President and CEO of IESA. And on the online, we had Mr. Deepak Bharadwaj and Mr. Ajay Jalin. Students, what they just spoke is about Mysore, and they have given beautiful insights. They really thoroughly deserve a round of applause. Come on, everybody, all the people in the audience. Let's hear it for our panelists on this wonderful session. A kind request to all the panelists and our presenter to please stay back for a group picture. Thank you, gentlemen. Right, so fireside chat back in action again, ladies and gentlemen. This time it's going to be moderated by Mr. Sabu Thomas, Senior Partner at Disha Strategic HR. So a real beautiful insight. May I kindly have Mr. Sabu Thomas on stage? Come on, everybody, let's hear it for the man of the hour, Mr. Sabu Thomas. So Mr. Sabu is a seasoned HR professional, executive coach, and a philanthropist with over 30 years of experience in various industries and has contributed to manufacturing, services, and not-for-profit sector. Development Corporation, Government of Karnataka, and Mr. Chetan Krishnaswamy, Vice President, Public Policy at Amazon, on future skill ecosystem in emerging tech clusters. So let's get ready for a fireside chat on the Jora the Chappale Vedike Melore Yelrigu. Come on, everybody, let's hear it for them. Talking on the topic of future skills ecosystem in emerging tech clusters. Over to our moderator, Mr. Sabu Thomas.
Good evening, all of you. First of all, thank you so much for KDM for me to give this opportunity. I have been participating since morning. I did not see much of audience participation, so the fire session should start from audience, and a lot of questions should come from audience to panelists. So I'll be asking lesser questions, and we'll be coming to the audience to ask questions, because we are going to discuss a very important topic. We have very eminent panelists to answer your questions. Let me introduce Mr. Ashwin Gowda, IRS, Mr. Gowda has got 3 masters, masters in public administration, masters in Kannada literature, and masters in taxation and business. I think he requires a round of applause for these 3 masters. He joined as a probationer of Indian Revenue Services Income Tax in 2021. Thereafter, he moved as Assistant Commissioner of Income Tax, Cochin, in 2013. I continued there till 2015. Then promoted to Deputy Commissioner of Income Tax in 2016 in Bangalore. He also worked as Deputy Secretary to Chief Minister of Karnataka, Sri H.D. Kumaraswamy, 2018 to 19. Served as Director of Finance of KPTCL in 2019. And currently he is holding very, very important portfolio of skilling people in the state of Karnataka. He is Managing Director of KSDC. A warm welcome to Ashwin Gowda. We have another eminent person, Chetan Krishnaswamy. He is from Amazon. He is Vice President of Public Policy at Amazon India since 2020, where he joined after almost 7 years of his stint with Google. He has a lot of credentials to his credit. During his time in Google, he built an exceptionally strong team, initiated many proactive partnerships with the central and state governments, and strategically repositioned the company and its reputation in India across diverse set of political and policy stakeholders, including at the very highest levels. Prior to joining Google, he was working with the Intel, and Intel he won the Intel Achievement Award, the company's highest award. Less than 1% of Intel employees get this award. I think he deserves a round of applause for this. Chetan began his career as journalist and has worked for some of India's most renowned publications, including Times of India. Welcome, Chetan, to this chat. We have been hearing since morning that importance of talent and skills. We are trying to promote peripheral cities or emerging clusters in Karnataka. And one important thing people are talking about is availability of talent. Companies have embraced this digital transformation almost a decade back, when the transition happened from strategy-based technology to technology-based strategy. That was a huge shift. When it has become technology-based strategy, it was very important to have digital transformation should happen at the speed at which the business or innovation happens in the world. The pandemic has, I think, accelerated that situation because there is no physical workplace, there is no in-person peer-to-peer contact now at workplace. So the digital transformation has become very, very important doing business post-pandemic situation. Fluxera 21 report says that around 37% of IT initiatives are aimed at how companies can get customer centricity or customer bliss. And if you look at, another report which says that around 2.3 trillion is going to be spent for digital transformation world over. But we are talking about digital transformation, and we are talking about expanding industry beyond core cities, but do we have the talent? One of the reports I got from Amazon Web Services, which says that only 12% of the Indian labor group is skilled, digitally skilled. That's a very small number. And this needs to be ninefold by 2025 to make sure that business is run smoothly. So here is the question. Are we prepared now? How much you are prepared in emerging clusters? I'm sure Karnataka government is taking serious note of the situation and doing a lot of effort, taking a lot of efforts in terms of bridging the gap there. So we would like to hear from you, Ashwin. What are various things you do from your organization, KSDC, Karnataka Skill Development Corporation, in terms of bridging this gap in Karnataka, especially in emerging clusters?
Yeah. Karnataka Skill Development Corporation is the nodal organization of Government of Karnataka to provide the short-term skill training to the youth of the state. And we do provide skilling to almost 60,000 candidates across various sectors like aviation, aerospace, apparels, agriculture, IT, ITES, telecommunication, healthcare, hospital. You name the sector, hospitality, you name the sector and we are there, and that too we provide this training with a network of training partners empaneled with us. And these training partners include your education institutions like RV College, RV Skills, Dayanand Sagar institutions, then MS Ramaya, and then industry partners like your Wipro GE, Sensora Technologies, India's leading automotive training partner, automotive manufacturing component company. And then we have Flipkart Supply Chain Operations Academy. So what I'm trying to say is that through KSDC, we have created an industry linkage cell wherein we interact with the industries on one-to-one basis, understand their needs, and then provide the skilled manpower to them based on their requirements. And sometimes in this process, we empanel the industries. We ensure that the industries become our training partners, and we provide, we make use of their training infrastructure. So there is a gap, as he rightly pointed out, that the occasionally trained manpower in Korea is around 95%, whereas in India it is less than 5%. Okay, whereas in Germany it is. Wherein this HCL Tech B program is there, wherein the candidate who has completed 12th standard will be provided with 1 year of training, and then immediately he'll be absorbed by the company. Similar such interventions we have had with HCL, with the ICICI Prudential, ICICI Bank, and Microsoft Technologies, and Infosys for that matter too.
It's very good to hear that. A lot of interactions with industry and finding out gap and then bridging that gap through programs and supply.
That's correct.
So before coming back with questions to you, I want to go to Chetan. So from an industry perspective, you are representing industry here, and Amazon is a company which is experimenting with a lot of technologies. And what is your expectation? If I'm not sure whether you have a center in Mysuru, but if you're going to start a center in Mysuru or Hubli or elsewhere, what is you are expecting from the ecosystem with the help of government?
No, first of all, thanks a lot for this invitation. And it's an absolute pleasure to be here. And to put a few things in perspective, it's important for us to realize that increasingly companies these days, as they go about hiring people, try and look for a composite set of capabilities, one, and two, also the ability to ensure that these capabilities are sort of, they're equipped with these capabilities through multiple levels of training. That seems to be the absolute reality of the day. And to, again, throw a very startling statistic that I read a couple of days back. In India, for the financial year 2021, close to 70% of the IT workforce was reskilled workforce, right? So, end of the day, everyone realizes that there is tremendous competition when it comes to, hiring extremely talented individuals and candidates. So, upskilling and reskilling is the order of the day. And obviously, to do this, companies will have to rely on academia and, of course, government. To your point on what large organizations tend to look for when they come in, and look at sort of rooting themselves or locating themselves in a particular place is obviously number one, the will to learn is crucial. When you're focusing on the talent pool, it's very, very important that you enter a location where manpower and the workforce generally is comfortable in constantly upgrading and updating their skill sets. And one, reality or fact, which in fact appeared in today's Economic Times, Satya Nadella, for instance, of Microsoft, says that post-pandemic, workforce-related engagement has dramatically changed and there's no going back, right? So there are certain new fundamentals and realities that one needs to deal with. And so a workforce that is willing to be trained, a workforce that also is collaborative, that is curious, that also thrives in teamwork. So from a talent standpoint, obviously that would be of governments to really look at skilling as a key parameter or element in attracting investors. So that would be the criteria.
Excellent. I mean, I think if you look at right skilling is the mantra for corporates, right? Chetan has touched upon that, reskilling and upskilling, and also right skilling, because if the more skilling and less skill, both are dangerous. We need to have people rightly skilled. You talked about ILC, the Industry Linkage Center cell for connecting with industry. Do you have similar cell for connecting with the academic institutions? Why I ask this question is that it's very important.
Actually, is which has been developed by KSD. And the candidates are making use of it. So it is not only about exploring the options, exploring about the job opportunities, but also about enhancing his skill sets by getting to know about his weak areas.
Yeah, I think you're talking about Karnataka Skill Connect portal, which is a all-in-one kind of solution.
Yes. It's also sort of a career guidance.
It's for the employers to come in and the candidates
Yes,
can come
yes,
in and
yes.
So when you're talking about industry participation with the government in terms of skill development, what are the ways you think that the industry can collaborate with the government? especially when government is coming up with a state-of-the-art portal like Skill Connect portal, how the industry can participate and get benefit, and what more you can, render as a service to the government?
No, the concept of having a tech portal is obviously, interesting, and the utility of a large, good, robust portal cannot be discounted. But, in a country that has seen success with Aadhaar, in a country that has seen success with the UPI, we seem to have the ability to create population scale platforms at will. So why don't we create, why shouldn't the government, industry, and organizations like the Karnataka Digital Economy Mission come together to create a population scale platform that, where all that a citizen needs to do is, go in and, look at the sort of, on the basis of some evaluation, is able to size up where he can fit in the overall sort of workforce, right? I thought there was some experiment happening within the government, but I don't know where we are. Are you aware of where we stand on that? The central government was thinking of creating a platform.
That's correct. It's called Dashang, yeah.
Okay.
It's currently under progress.
Okay, so it's a work in progress.
Work in progress.
Yeah, I have a list of questions to ask them. However, I would prefer the audience to ask few questions, because you are going to be the beneficiaries of skills who are developed in the state. Any questions from audience?
Check. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Please.
I am Group Captain Anand Naidu. I represent a cybersecurity entity here in Mysuru. I have a question to Mr. Ashwin. This is on the Kaushalya card. We have some difficulties getting approval for the online training programs in cybersecurity. Is there a way where government can help us? Because new and emerging technologies, the trainings are predominantly online across the world. And our training programs are recognized by the AICT. We are on NASCOM Future Skills, but here in Karnataka we are finding a difficulty. Is there a way?
Okay, so you're talking about Kaushalkar portal that is exclusively for programs like Chief Minister Kaushalya Karnataka Yojana and Prime Minister Kaushalya Vikas Yojana.
That's correct.
Yeah, and these two programs are basically offline programs, and there is no way for online programs that you're talking about. However, we do take up proposals and consider them as a special projects for this online skilling. And we have signed an agreement with NASCOM for this Future Skills Prime program, wherein we are providing, and then as I talked about HCL program, and then Microsoft Technologies, and then Dell Technologies. So we are providing training as such, through online mode also. So I would suggest, in case if you have any project proposal, kindly do approach us, and then we can consider this as a special project and proceed further.
Thank you.
Absolutely no issues.
Question is,
Yeah.
If we are on NASCOM Future Skills Prime,
Yeah.
do we take it that it will be automatically accepted for you?
No, every project will be considered and approved specially by the MR committee. Yeah.
Yeah, more questions from the audience? I'm sure that there are representatives from educational institutions are also here. Yeah, Sanjeev.
First of all, ladies and gentlemen, Ketan, you deserve a hand of applause for being here today. You are guys born and brought up in Mysuru. Mysuru in my heart, reaching to global heights of the world level. Global companies look to him and still belong to say that let's do something for the Mysuru. We need more of these brands. Ketan, you have to give me a promise that please come more often to the Mysuru and meet all the industry players here. Whatever way, bit of help that you can provide, not necessarily from your existing operation, but the brand of Ketan itself is a great help for us. So please do visit a lot of times. And whenever you're coming with your family also, don't hesitate us to call us. We can have lunch together as well. That's one part. You want to respond to this?
Thanks a lot, Sanjeev, but giving the mic to Sanjeev is a hazardous proposition. So I think you should take it away from him. We've seen that in the past, in the previous panels. So please keep the mic away.
Thank you. But I still continue with the question. Actually, we we are finding that VLSI design is a very specialized skills, and these type of skills will come out, like ABGC skills, as a VLSI skills. And VLSI skills, we are actually coming out in partnership with industry, triple ITB, and ISA to gather a very next generation VLSI skill program. Obviously, the cost will be very high for that. We want industry to participate. We want all of us to contribute that. I think there's a model we need to create where KSDC can fund something, is there any possibility or not, and up to what level it can be looked into. We want to create a model. In a model which says that with this course and content, this style of functioning, this modules, etc., a quality VLSI engineers can be produced. And to that cater demand for this, and that can be replicated by the other institutions when we successfully launch this and showcase the study. Is there any possibility that you can fund, because industry is willing to have a commitment of around 180 people trained on that program?
So currently, actually, for high-end technologies like the VLSI, embedded systems, and layout designs and all. So currently, we are working with Harvest Skills. I would still suggest that we can. It costs anywhere between 1.5 lakh to 2 lakh per course, and varies from 6 to 8 months, 12 months duration. So we are okay with funding. Let's say some pilot numbers, like let's say some 200 to 300. Yes, we are okay with it.
Lovely.
We'll find.
Lovely. Thank you so much, because this will have the new program that how we were talking about of this a lot. So, good.
That's a great news. More questions from the audience. Sudhir?
Hi. So Chetan, this is a question for you. I know Amazon is very high on recruiting people with leadership skills, right? And you have a very strong way of evaluating and it doesn't matter at what level you're hiring. Leadership skills is something you deeply look at. So the question again, extending that part, I mean, technical skills and then offering it through online is one aspect. How do we develop leadership skills at scale? Because there is no such program in any institute or anything, unless you get an MBA or something like that, where the best of the lot, they get thrown into the grinder and then they develop those skills. At scale, at mass, at reaching every institute, what do you suggest? How do we develop leadership skills?
This question to Chetan, maybe you can tell some of your...
Something from Amazon, how do you look for leadership skills? And then probably Ashwin can answer what is the strategy to inculcate those skills.
It's a difficult question, I must confess, because there are no, you don't have a formula to create a leader, right? And all of us are clearly aware that the next couple of years would take a lot of reinvention, would take a lot of trial and error for us to really get our bearings right. Having said that, at least and I used to work for Google for 7 years. So, between Google and Amazon, culturally they're different. There are different drivers and motivations for both the tech behemoths. And as individuals, by and large, what I've seen in most American companies, I work for Dell Computers, Intel, Google, and Amazon now, is one, it's an extremely fair, inclusive culture which has been institutionalized and which has been sort of seeded for decades. That's absolutely true. There is no way will you find biases or prejudices, coming to the fore. So a lot of times I think culture of the organization is important to really equip you to unleash your leadership strengths, right? And of course, as I mentioned earlier, the need to be absolutely open, the need to ensure that communication, sort of pervades and proliferates across the length and breadth of the function that you head is again extremely critical to simply, showcase what the organization is capable of and what you as an individual are capable of. Again, specifically to Amazon, if you can allow me a few more minutes, please. I'm sorry. We have what is known as leadership principles. So we had 14 of them until about a few months back. So there are 60 leadership principles, and every single action and every single evaluation that happens, every review that happens of the individual is on the basis of those 16, parameters. So almost at a subliminal level, you are expected to reflect some of those leadership principles, right? So, in a sense, what I'm trying to say is a lot of times you have the organization which ensures that you adhere to a certain level of integrity in your conduct within an organization. Apart from that, obviously, there are a whole lot of time-tested sort of theories that I would not want to get into. On the flip side, and I will end with this, on the flip side, you have an organization like Google, which by and large allows you to experiment with your management style, right? You don't have a top-down sort of approach, and you tend to get comfortable with the cultural milieu as you start, engaging, interacting, and ensuring that you give the outcomes that the company wants over a period of time. I don't know whether I answered your question,
But Chetan, I think that's a great concept, right? The cultural ecosystem of the organization automatically creates leaders within that. The value system, value principles which are defined, and the very way people or the leadership behaves and conduct the business automatically creates or followers, and they will become good leaders. So the cultural intensity, is very, very important in every organization that creates leaders. And programs, as you rightly said, can do only theoretical part of it, and that may not make practical leaders. Culture is very, very important. Thank you for that. Bharat, you wanted to ask a question?
Sorry on that, we have a very strict time limit. We want to keep the questions on a personal note.
Yeah, I saw the time's up screen is red, but last question we can...
And we have already bled 5 more minutes, so I'm extremely sorry. Sorry on that, please don't mind, please don't be offended. We can have this conversation off stage when we can connect for a high tea.
That one last question.
Sanjeev sir.
The more than the last, I think. I'm trying to put a...
Right, I'll give one quick rebuttal though. One quick question, no more questions after this.
More than a question, I think I'm trying to...
Make sure that.
Yeah. Thomas, is just more than a question. I'm trying to put, throw a spanner there because this institution, again, industry and then the government, right? The kind of skills which what Ashwini is trying to address through their portal and trying to have skills which industry is looking at the other side is too apart, right? And second thing is like, again, we time and again we come back to, are we trying to address the disease or the symptoms every time when you're talking about this particular topic? So we need a skill that's immediately required skill. And we're teaching time and again, in the universities and stuff like that. So the consensus or maybe the effort required, government is facilitating. I don't think it's their responsibility to give trained skill to any industries. They are facilitator again. And industry at the extreme end demanding more, and whenever they want to come, I think is that our job for KDM to provide skills which is available, but it is moving somewhere else, is kind of tug of war.
To come to the question.
Right, it's a triangular love story here. I mean to say that industry need to move closer to the institution for their demand for the future requirement as well, much earlier. And the same thing only government can do is the only policy interventions. Is their not responsibility. Every time I keep saying that, it's pointing at the government. I don't think there is justice to that. And the government has done enough in facilitating through the education system. It's between institution and industry. They need to have, tug of war, whatever the point. That's where, more solution lies into that.
I think that's a great thought. I don't think that's a question to anybody, but then your thought process. Since one more question is taken, so I'm not going to do the concluding session. Thank you so much to the panelists, Ashwin and Chetan, and the audience. Thank you so much for your
Anyways, just to add to your, just taking 2 minutes, that's it. Since he has raised this relevant topic, we have come across people like Mr. Narayan Murthy and the other panelists also that the current curriculum, Mr. Kaushik was also talking about this, that the current curriculum is not industry relevant or industry demand. They have been complaining that the candidates who are coming out of the college are not employable, they don't have the employability skills, yes. But my point is, I'm not quoting any organization as such once again. I've been in Mysuru only, especially in the month of July, I had a capacity building program for all my district officers in the global center here. I don't name the company though, okay. So I was told that that global center basically caters to all their employees by providing 6 months of initial basic training. So that's what they said. Then I told them that, why don't you do it, partner with us, and we'll bring your curriculum, we'll get your trainers and train the candidates who are in the final semester and final year of their undergraduation, right? So that you can save time, cost, everything. So by the time they come out of the college, they will be industry ready and you are ready to get deployed in your office. But the kind of response that I got was not so positive, affirmative. So what I'm trying to say is the industries should come forward, say that these are the lacuna and this is what we require. Instead of complaining, I would suggest that the industry should come forward and say that this is what we require. You train the candidates in this, we will take it. But unfortunately, I have not come across that sort of thing. But anyways, it's a good thought though. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, but we wouldn't want to leave you empty-handed. We have a small memento presentation. We kindly request Mr. Bhaskar Kalali, the CEO of 55 Plus, to please come forward and hand over mementos to the gentleman on the stage. Come on, everybody, let's hear it for one amazing fireside chat session. Thank you so much. We had Mr. Ashwin Gowda, the IRS Managing Director, Karnataka Skills Development Corporation, Government of Karnataka, and Mr. Chetan Krishnaswamy, Vice President, Public Policy at Amazon on Future Skill Ecosystem and Emerging Tech Clusters, and wonderfully moderated by the Senior Partner of Disha Strategic HR, Mr. Sabu Thomas. Come on, everybody, Jora Chapale Bandbili, please, let's hear it for them. And we request all the gentlemen on the stage to please come forward for a group picture. So we request you to please join in for the group picture. Thank you. Right, so jam-packed day. But one amazing session to end this, to give you the final jhalak of why the big tech show always happens in Mysuru. So we're going to talk on the topic of cyber lancers securing the digital frontiers. So ladies and gentlemen, this session will be moderated by Mr. Venkatesh Murthy, Senior Director, DSCI. And as a panelist, we will be having Group Captain P.A. Naidu, retired Director, Information Sharing and Analysis Center, ISAC. Ms. Pragya Mishra, Director, Public Affairs, Truecaller. Mr. Sej Subramaniam, MD, JP Morgan Chase & Co. Dr. M.S. Vijayaraghavan, former advisor and ex-official Special Secretary to Government Prime Minister's Office. So it's going to be a great session, and also will be joining Mr. Nitesh Sinha, Founder and CEO of Document. So can we please have a huge round of applause in welcoming our moderator and the panelists, please. Venkatesh sir wants to have it here. You want to have it here? Thank you. Having really launched WOW yesterday, we would like to take the women panelists on the center of the stage. It will be a great pleasure because we always want the women to take the center stage. May I kindly request Pragya ma'am to take the center stage. It will be really, really nice because we want women to take the center stage, having initiated WOW, Women at Work. Oh yes, please, we would love to have that. Women always needs to be at the center stage. Thanks. Over to my moderator, please. Once chapale tetpidi please for a elite session that's about to start with our moderator, Mr. Venkatesh Murthy, sir.
Thank you so much. At the outset, I would like to thank KDEM for having me here. So it's my privilege to drive this discussion with the subject matter experts who are here to inspire us.
So when we talk about cyber lancers, predominantly my experience is with police. For the last 18 years, although I represent the Industry Association Data Security Council of India, I have been with Cybercrime Police Station for the last 18 years. So I would like to quote one research article by Harvard had created one research paper with the title, Why the Police Don't Care About Cybercrimes. That was the title of the research paper. And if I want to summarize the entire research paper in one sentence, the statement is, that's not why I became a cop. Okay. So, before I try to set the context for today's discussion, I would request all the panelists to quickly do a round of introduction. Sir.
Yeah. Good evening to all of you, and thanks, Kadam, for inviting me here. I'm Dr. Vijay Raghavan, former Special Secretary in the Prime Minister's Office.
Good evening. I am Group Captain Naidu, retired from Air Force. I am heading the cybersecurity outfit here, ISAC, Information Sharing and Analysis Center. I am also associated with a couple of cybersecurity entities here in Mysuru. We have incubated recently. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Pragya. I lead public affairs for Truecaller, and before this, I used to work for WhatsApp. I used to lead policy communications for them, and had the honor of being the first employee in India for WhatsApp, which is, I think, always going to be very special, and in general, very interested in the public policy space, and more broadly on how can we drive the women's safety agenda, and also, I guess, diversity and gender equality even at leadership levels. So that's what I'm personally passionate about, and have been able to drive this agenda even at Truecaller.
Yeah, good evening all. My name is Nitesh Sinha. I'm the founder and CEO of the company named Sacumen. Sacumen is one of the largest players in the product engineering space for cybersecurity. So we work only with cybersecurity products companies to develop innovative cybersecurity products and solutions. We are working with the top 3 of the 5 cybersecurity product companies of the world. Thank you.
Namaskara, Mysuru. I am Sesh Subramaniam. I am from JP Morgan Chase, but I'm not here from JP Morgan Chase technically. I'm here because I'm a Mysorean, born in Mysore, SJC Mysore. To me, while I'm very passionate about Mysore and I think I'll live here eventually, I've been across the globe in Citibank and other banks as well. I think for me, the interest of when Kedam and Sanjeev and Sudhir and others talked about me being involved, the interest was about Mysore growing into a space that would be ecosystem-wise, cybersecurity being a very great place, while not becoming Bangalore. I think somebody mentioned it before. That's also a passion I have, that Mysore stays Mysore and grows organically outside of the city it is. So with that, I'm very happy to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much. So the topic for today's discussion is creating cyber lancers who would protect our digital borders. So the lancers can be citizens, cybersecurity professionals, the academicians, and most importantly, the law enforcement agencies. February this year, if you have seen the media reports, there was one report which an attack by an individual against the nation. Also, you might have read the tweets of the Deputy Prime Minister of Ukraine, where he invited young talents to join the so-called IT army, and he had openly announced that there are some task-specific Telegram groups that were created. So this shows the importance of this topic, this session, whatever we are having. So from a law enforcement point of view, while criminals are using artificial intelligence to automate their cyber attacks, the law enforcement agencies, they are handling all those incidents or crimes manually. So the core elements of the criminal justice system need to be conversant with the technology, science and technology, because combating the cyber crimes can't be done by the government alone, and at the same time, the private industry also cannot handle the cyber security alone. So there has to be a collaboration between the law enforcement, that is the government, the IT industry, and academia. So towards this, Karnataka has been successful in leveraging the technical competency that is available with the IT industry. So way back in 2007 January, the first public-private partnership initiative called as a Cyber Forensic Training Facility was started in CID headquarters, Bangalore, the cybercrime police station. And I'm very happy to announce that this January we completed 15 years of our existence in CID Karnataka. So that shows that both the side, both from the government as well as the IT industry, that trust factor is there, that interest is also there, and last 15 years we have been helping the Karnataka State Police in building their capabilities with respect to cybercrime investigation. And I can say that this is one of the most successful initiative which is still running even after 15 years. I would now request the console to kindly play a 2 minutes video about this center. Can you please play that video?
The Karnataka CID division wants to fight cybercrime with someone who understands cybercrime better. In a public-private partnership initiative, the government of Karnataka joins hands with Infosys Foundation and Data Security Council of India to handle cybercrime investigation.
The time has come when we need to upgrade our capabilities, get more and more modern gadgets in the form of hardware, software, etc. And not only for the police officers, but also the prosecutors and the judges.
Together, we are building a state-of-the-art Center for Cybercrime Investigation Training and Research at the CID headquarters, befitting the IT capital of India. With high-tech training facilities, we are strengthening our capabilities. The center will focus on the following activities: forensic investigation support, legal and policy research, research and development, collaboration with national and international agencies, linkages with academia and IT industry, advanced training and events.
Yeah, I had to trim the video because of the time constraint. So this is one successful initiative where the central government also looks it as a reference model, and the Director, National Crime Record Bureau, who visited us some time back, he wrote to all state DGPs to try to visit the center and try to replicate in their respective states. So with this background, I would now like to call upon our esteemed panelists to share their perspective about cybersecurity preparedness. So the initial, this session format is, in the first round, the individual panelists would be sharing their perspective, and then followed by one round of questions. So to begin, ladies first, Ms. Pragya to share her views.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's a real honor to be here, and especially with such experienced people on the panel. I'm really excited to participate here. I think at Truecaller, we're really committed to driving safety in communication, and when we serve about 350 million users around the world and about 230 of them being in India, making sure that their data and their information that we are collecting, obviously with consent and under all privacy policy guidance, that is kept, absolutely safe. And I know that, most people identify Truecaller with just a caller ID service, but, it is a far more extensive, I would say, experience that we've been able to create on the app, including making sure that your SMSs are also organized in your inbox. And the added feature there is that we have a separate categorizer for spam, which means over a period of time when our AI ML work, that those messages simply go into your spam inbox and you don't even see them. And the reason why I'm saying that is more and more as our communications are moving online, and we saw that even during COVID, where most of our conversations were having were over phone, and all of our communication with government continues to be over SMS. It becomes extremely crucial that we are able to very quickly bifurcate and understand what is relevant communication and what is communication that can lead to any sort of fraud or scam, since that's something which is particularly on the rise. Because there's no more physical interaction, at least during the lockdown. Now, of course, we're all back to going to bank offices and bank branches, but back in the day, it was mostly all over the phone. So, we went ahead and made sure that we also collaborated with the Ministry of Home and did a bunch of partnerships, which I'll talk about later on. But I think in general, I just want to sort of lay this, emphasize on this fact that it has to be a shared responsibility between the private sector and the ecosystem all around. And Truecaller continues to play our part. And I think it's really important that as private sector, we collaborate and make sure that there is transparency in the kind of breaches that we see in our cybersecurity space, so that in case there are others, you can collaborate, you can also share information, share knowledge, and that allows for the community at large to be able to tackle that together instead of doing it in silos, because otherwise we're just always playing catch up.
Thank you so much. May I now request Group Captain Mr. Anand?
Thank you very much. When we talk of the stakeholders in cybersecurity and what can be done by each stakeholder, a listed company in France spends about $3.1 million towards cybersecurity spending each year. In India, it's about $70,000. Now, are the companies the stakeholders? When we talk about the jobs, the Business Standard, August 2021, published a survey. 35 million jobs as on 31st December 2021 in India. 40 lakh jobs, 4 million in US, 5 million in Japan. We have supplied IT and IT-enabled services professionals across the world. They have genuine, rightful expectation on India to supply the cybersecurity professionals as well. What Mr. Murthy has mentioned about the lancers, the warriors, the soldiers. As we sent the IT and IT-enabled services professionals, now are the students and the academia my stakeholders? What can be expected from them? My mother is an illiterate. Unfortunately or fortunately, because of advent of technology, she is compelled to use a smartphone. She gets duped. She loses money. Is she a stakeholder? If yes, what can I expect from her? What do I expect from the government? Whatever is done by the government, they are doing a lot, but we can't expect more from them probably. Whatever is possible to be done by the academia, probably they are doing. Maybe all of us together we have to come up. So at ISAC, Information Sharing and Analysis Center, we have been collaborating with NCIIPC, the nodal agency for the Critical Information Infrastructure Protection, the Computer Emergency Response Team, the CERT. We have collaboration and we do a lot of things together very, very frequently. We have collaboration with All India Council for Technical Education. That's where our cybersecurity capacity building collaboration comes. We are mandated to establish cybersecurity centers of excellence. That is for the training and other services that we can create. But what are we doing to raise the cybersecurity culture across the population in India? That's where Mr. Murthy also was talking about the police being helped to help us, to help the cybercrime victims. We have a social impact platform known as Cop Connect. Please, all of you can download the Cop Connect app, both on Android and iOS. It is available. It's a free app. One can see, find out, and seek help from the nearest available cybercrime first responder that we have trained. We have more than 2,000. We have trained more than 3,000. Out of the 2,000 has volunteered. onboarding is happening. We have about 200 people already there. In Mysuru, we have about 10 of them who are ready to help if there is any victim falling prey to the cyber crimes. He will be able to give you step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Likewise, at any given time, you call up and ask for help. They will help you before you go to the police. Police are the ones who are going to finally respond. They are responsible and they will have to help us. But before that, we are supposed to do certain things. That's what the Cop Connect app can do to you. You can do that at the lowest level. As far as the training is concerned, there was a point raised as to who are responsible for skilling the people. Yes, definitely it is the industry's expectation that has to be met by training, and I think the institutions like ISAC, and there are many other institutions which are into training. This training in new and emerging technologies is different from the traditional concept of training. We have gone to one of the universities offering our trainings. They asked me to give the notebooks. And they said, unless you give the notebook, I cannot recognize your training. Obviously, for cybersecurity, what is taught today, tomorrow it is probably not relevant. It is outdated already because the approaches are changing, the vectors, attack vectors are changing, criminals are coming out with new and very creative ideas. Uber has been hacked by a kid, supposedly. And how do you train to fight against such kids hacking big systems like that? So it is essential that the skill is done here. We are here to train people with homegrown cybersecurity hands-on training labs, both physical and digital, the physical systems. That is where the capacity building can happen, and the companies. The other thing that we are talking about is what can be done by the industries. The industries probably can support these social impact programs. Probably the Mysuru and KDM, Mr. Sanjeev Gupta can look at creating a fund of funds for developing the ecosystem that is for cybersecurity alone in Mysuru, since this has already got a cybersecurity hub here under the KDM's support. So these are the things that can be done as far as building the cybersecurity hygiene and culture is concerned. Of course, the trainability and employability of the people who are trained, that is the next step. We have to raise the bar first. Then out of that, some of them will be trained in employable roles, for employable roles. That will automatically happen. We are collaborating with a lot of institutions. We have collaboration with many institutions in Karnataka as well as in India. That part is happening for the employability. But all of us need to come up to a certain level where we are able to protect ourselves, and we are also becoming first responders. In case if my neighbor is becoming victim, I should be able to help her or help him with those immediate first aid steps, first few steps, so that she or he gains a little composure, she is cool and able to handle the situation thereafter with the help of police. That's what I have.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
very
sir.
much.
May I now request Dr. M.S. Vijayaraghavan to kindly share his perspectives.
Good evening once again. The question that was posed to me was, at the first instance, it was difficult for me to link two called subjects. One, Dr. Abdul Kalam, and the other is cybersecurity. So he wanted me to connect these two because of my past. The only thing that I can think of that connects both these entities, cybersecurity and Kalam, is the Kalam's vision. He visualized to live in a developed India. His definition of developed India is entirely different from what we normally hear in the newspapers, TV channels, and whatnot. For him, developed status means a status where you have prosperity and security. Any one of that, if it is removed, then we lose the developed status. So that's how he viewed a developed country. So actually, he was talking about what is that linkage, what is that one common thread which goes across development and security. So he strongly felt it is technology that is the one that connects development as well as security. So way back, almost now 25 years back, quarter century back, he set up a task force. So I was the member secretary for that, where we, for the first time in the country, defined what is comprehensive national security, truly from the prism of technology. How technology views a comprehensive national security. National security everybody is aware of, but I don't know how many of you are aware of what is comprehensive. What is so comprehensive about a national security? See, here we define national security as something that links the internal security, which includes law enforcement. Then we have the external security, whose euphemistic term is defense. And everything else, no exception, everything else comes under the economic security. So this is how the comprehensive security is slightly differentiate itself from regular vanilla type national security. So therefore, one thing that connects all these three elements of a comprehensive national security is technology. So the task force was looking into that, and it brought out a document, which of course went through the usual rigmarole of the government, presenting it to the full cabinet. At the time, Mr. Vajpayee ji was the PM. The whole cabinet got a hearing of what it is. Then we were advised to present it to the full planning commission. At the time, it was called planning commission. So finally it was accepted, and our recommendations, I would say for somebody, a departmental exercise, though it is national in nature, whose 50% of whose recommendation being accepted at the national level is something. So that goes to the credit of Dr. Kalam. So one of the recommendations that led to, everybody is familiar with, National Security Council. So that's how the National Security Council came into existence. Our report was in August 1998. Then various things. By end of that year, National Security Council was established with PM as the chair and the External Affairs Minister, Defense Minister, Home Minister, Finance Minister. All these people are the torchbearers of this National Security Council. What is that? That essence of this report? There are two things. One is build around one's strength. First, find out what is your strength. In Sanskrit, it is called as Atma Bodh, understanding oneself. Your strength. And other one is whatever initiative that comes out of such an understanding, do it together, in partnership, in coordination. So these are the two essential points that came out from that particular report. So we are talking about an integrated approach. We are talking about building around the strength. So these are the two essential things that came out of the things. Coming back to the prosperous and secure India, that is the developed India. Essentially it stands on 4 pillars: academia, industry, then you have the science and technology research base, which comes out of our institutions, exclusively meant for science and technology, and of course, universities, academic institutions, and finally the government. So all these are the 4 pillars. So they have to function on an equal basis, not that government, so therefore it has a higher weightage, and industry, and that too private sector, not that way. No, everything has to function. Just like our human body, brain doesn't consider it to be higher than heart, heart doesn't consider it higher than a kidney, liver, like that. So everything, then only the kursi is stable, otherwise it is unstable. Be that so, a lot of things that we saw post-COVID and post-Ukraine issues. What we essentially saw was the deglobalization. There was a time when we, in 1992, 93, I remember, we were all talking about globalization and whatnot. We had to work together and all that. But post this COVID and Ukraine war, the deglobalization was taking place. And the global collaboration is the victim. So I will come to that in just a short while. Now, as you all know, one single program that drives the whole nation with the what you call electromotive force given by none other than the Prime Minister himself is the Digital India. So this is a program that pervades every ministry, every department. No department, no ministry can escape the impact of a Digital India. And you have seen how the Digital India missions, initiatives, or how it has been acknowledged world over. You know the DBT, you have the economy very buoyant despite global recession, those kinds of stuff. So essentially, we are talking here of the economic development aspect of yogam and securing the wealth created by the economy, kshemam. So no wonder LIC picked up that long, several decades back, yoga kshemam. So therefore, together it makes the Kalam's developed India, which is prosperity with security. So all initiatives in the digital domain have to be bolstered by cybersecurity. So, our friend was talking about various initiatives, that products and services that this company has produced. Everything contributes to the economy. But at the same time, every one of the technology which he is developing from the industry goes to secure our infrastructure and the digital infrastructure. So while the cybersecurity products and services pushes the growth, it also ensures that we are protected from it. But one thing is, we also heard about a lot of things about skilling. My feeling is the fastest growing career is cybersecurity, and which has got 0% unemployment. Okay, so that point one has to note. And it provides equal opportunities across age, across gender, and across disciplines. The previous sessions I found there was a lopsided concentration on colleges, institutions, and all that. But nobody talked about schools. Some of the best hackers, some of the best cyber specialists are below the age of 13. You don't find them in colleges. So we need to go to school. So across age, across gender, and across disciplines.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So now, I think I will request Mr. Shesh.
We will come back to that.
Yeah, we will come back, sir.
Sure. I think people are born before 2000, right? The lucky people, right, will realize or recall how difficult their life was. And I'll tell you why that irony is. So in those times, right, people will be able to relate as how difficult it was to, book those Tatkal tickets where you possibly have to stay, throughout the night to book the tickets, or, if you had to check how much of a balance is there in your account, your favorite pastime of your father was to take the passbook and go to the bank, get it updated and know, right? Or the thing is, when they had to, eat food, right, they actually used to step out. And they really had that great social life, not the virtual social life what we have now. Why I point those things is, if you don't go back in history and find out the difficulties on how the digital transformation has really transformed it, right, will not be able to realize of how lucky we are in that way, right? with this digital tsunami really in progress is the cybersecurity challenges will go multifold that way, and it will become more complex in that way. So I always say is that we live in a pizza culture. Literally is now, anything which is below 10 minutes, right, is what we want. We want everything instantly. And the same applies to cybersecurity. You will not accept the fact that, okay, just because you have a security issue, right, which is affecting your bank, anything which you are working on, right, is you cannot wait for days and days for that to be resolved. And that is where the industry expects, or any of the people expect, right, real-time detection and response. And you have to do that as something, we are looking at the warriors to really shape up those solutions which are not just point solutions, but quite integrated solutions, right, which can really solve the problem rather than, handle only a specific part of that. So I think that is how security is evolving. It's all about consolidation, what you see in the cybersecurity market. Every week, almost you'll hear some news of a funding which is happening in the cybersecurity space, or some company getting acquired by someone else, right? And the reason they are doing it is not as one single company cannot be able to be the one-stop solution for everything. So the way they are doing it is they are trying to consolidate by either integration with the other products, or they are really acquiring there. And that is what we are heading to, right? So if you are looking to build any of the, the next, happening thing in cybersecurity, don't just pick it in isolation. Yes, you need to focus, be a king in the space, but always look at how does your product fit into the overall ecosystem of your customer, right? So that you have something, which really solves the overall problem rather than doing one thing in specific there. So that's my view on how things are evolving in cybersecurity.
Thank you. I think while we talk about products, we talk about services and stuff. I want to go back to the basics. So if you go back to the pre-cybersecurity days, cybersecurity is nothing but information security in a different mode of access. If you think about it, keeping your information to yourself is a fundamental personal responsibility. If you go back and look at how we operate today, we have multiple tools, multiple mobile devices, office, home, everywhere. And as everybody spoke about here, about the controls, detective and some preventive. The fact of the matter is, there is very basic stuff to be followed. There is to be hygiene that we have to keep in play, access. Who do you give your phone to that also can be used for doing financial transactions? Why does your kids play on the same laptop that you're using for financial transactions? Some things comes back to very basic concept of how we operate. When I was young, we closed our door and that was pretty much safety in the house. Today you have to close multiple other avenues of information because the cyber access drives that. And to the fact that we have so many people, at the end of the day, what is cybersecurity breach? What does it end up in? It's money. So if you take a bank, for example, input is money, output is money. Similarly, every cyber attacker, every cyber warfare is investing to gain back more money. And the fact of the matter is, our own responsibility, if you look at many incidents, if you go back and look at cyber breaches and incidents, you'll always see that there's a bit of human involvement that drives to it. Even though you have firewalls, even though you have antivirus, even though you have very good devices, there is a human element to it that makes these happen. And therefore, if you look at the whole KDM event here, or the Mysuru hub event that we're talking about, one of the facts is looking at cyber safety. And that has to be looked at in the context of, is it the younger generation? Is it the older generation who are not as tech savvy as the other one? And the people mindset of, there's no free thing in life. If somebody gives you a free 10,000 rupees and you click on that, think about it. There's the educational part of that has to be an important element. And to me, products that will build into your tool, so there's a product that, for example, that Nitesh was talking about. If you go and click on something, the product has to be self-educating you, saying, do you want to continue here? Do you think of this as a fraud? We do this in every function we do today. I think awareness, education, and basic hygiene should be an integral part of every tool and product that we use, is what this should drive in the entire ecosystem as well.
Yeah, thank you. So keeping in mind the time constraint, I'm not sure I would be able to drive the discussion. I can only do a rapid fire. So I would like to take the honor of closing the session on time. So I will now open the floor for some questions. Any questions you have? I think the rest 5 minutes we can utilize it for answering the questions. Yeah. Mike, please. It's okay. Can someone help with the mic, please?
Question to the panel in general, a very informative session. In manufacturing, we have this idea of throw more men. I want to build a bridge tomorrow morning, throw more men. We just saw an example here said that how do we improve our cyber defense capabilities, devices to the law enforcement. But what we have not addressed, which is very critical, is changes in our law and justice and law enforcement. Our police code is driven by what Lord Cornwallis gave us in the 1700s. Our police investigative procedures are of the time of the telegraph. So how responsive is the state to this new digital challenge?
I think, see, if I want to talk from a Karnataka point of view, in 2008, there were 3 police officers who completed SANS GCFA training program with me. I'm not talking about the attending the training program, but they cleared the certification also. And many of you from cybersecurity background, you know that how difficult it is to crack GSE certification. So there exists capability, number one. Number two, in terms of government efforts, we have 45 cybercrime police stations in Karnataka. And Mysuru itself, we have 2 CEN police stations. CEN police station is cybercrime, economic offense, narcotics police stations. And they have all the tools and manpower resources also. I understand your point. See, they can't stay outdated. If I want to quote an example of a mobile forensic software, let me give my own experience. With New York for a 20 days program, training program. We attended the program. We came back. I did a knowledge transfer to our state FSL laboratory also. December 2019, Android introduced something called as file-based encryption. So this entire chip-off process, whatever is there, that got outdated within no time. So police, they do keep track of the developments which is happening. But end of the day, how do we measure the success of a cybersecurity breach incident handling? It is the court decision. If it gets convicted, then it is a success. But you need to understand there are different stakeholders when we are handling any cybersecurity breach incident. One is the police, and police would never get an opportunity to speak like we see in Bollywood movies. Okay, it is the public prosecutor who would be arguing on behalf of the state. And end of the day, it's the judiciary who would give the decision. So many state or many city police authorities, they do keep track with the technologies and they have the capabilities. The only thing is the court's judgments plays a very significant role. The moment someone gets convicted, I think the general public perception will also change.
Can I just add to that?
Please, please.
I think it's a combination of things, right? I think I agree that, some sort of regulatory overhauling is required, but at the same time, to add to what folks had said earlier is that I think prevention in this case far outweighs once you've already been scammed or once you've already been frauded, right? And I think a lot of the activities that we're also doing at Truecaller along with the Ministry of Home and other important ministries is that going out and training school kids and also in universities. We've committed to train about 16 lakh people in 5 regions of the country. We almost are at the fag end of it. And the idea there is to talk about the 5 or 6 things that you must make sure you have in mind when you are making transactions online, or you're having conversations online, or you're opening a social media platform. What are the 4 or 5 things that you should keep in mind? And more importantly, if you do feel like you have been scammed, what are the things and what are the resources that the government provides you in order to report them? I think most of us don't know what those helpline numbers look like, though the government has provided them, but we don't know where to find them, and we don't know that, yes, these are very important numbers and there are enough infrastructure, as Sir was mentioning, in order to take care of that. A simple thing like a financial fraud, we first feel we feel so embarrassed that, maybe something went wrong with us that we actually don't immediately report it. And there's a 1930 simple helpline, and anyone in the cybersecurity space will tell you that the first 2 hours is the golden hour. And if you're able to actually report that fraud to the 1930 number, they typically are able to find where your money is and bring it back. Because after 2 hours, it takes so many jumps in so many accounts that they're not able to track it and bring that money back. So these are the things that we are doing as a private company to make sure that people in the general public and schools and colleges and universities are far more aware of these basics, because then if you know what you can do to prevent yourself, it's far easier as a society for us to keep ourselves safe collectively. Because yes, no matter what happens and how many cybersecurity cells we might have, and no matter how many police stations might open and have skills, the number of population or the number of citizens will always outweigh that. And regulation is always going to play catch up. So we need to make sure that we are also taking some responsibility on our own selves to educate ourselves like we do in the real world. What can we do in the digital world to navigate around it safely?
Yeah, thank you. I
Just
think
a
one
quick
last
suggestion,
question.
actually.
Yeah.
I don't have a question. Thank you very much for a wonderful session. My suggestion is in terms of the skill development for people who are wanting to be crime detection, cyber crime detection, etc. So I think we have to take a look at this as a holistic skill set. What I mean by it is it is an amalgamation of big data, data science, AI, ML, along with lots of training to the police, right? So on how to make that. So what I'm saying is this particular role has to be made look a lot more glamorous to people.
Yeah.
Right, to say that there is a statistical analysis, for example, that is involved in here for people who are in the policing department. And I'll tell you one of my own experience. 4 years ago, as a part of CII Mysuru, we had conducted a cybersecurity workshop right here in Mysuru, and we had invited this head of inspector of cybersecurity cell in Mysuru. And wonderful gentleman, nothing to take away from him, but he was very candid. He stood up and he said, "Look, I'm just an arts graduate. I have no idea about what cybersecurity is, and I don't know what tools to use." And he was so candid, we almost felt sorry for him, having been put in that particular role with absolutely no training, no knowledge, no skill sets whatsoever. Right? So I think that skill set has to be looked at holistically across different stakeholders, and just not a few individuals. And to your point, Venkatesh, even the lawyers need to be trained, and the prosecutors need to be trained, saying if there is a cybersecurity crime that has happened, if that individual needs to be convicted, what are the things that he or she needs to take care of? Right? So I think that is one suggestion. If Group Captain Naidu can take that up.
If I can answer this question, sir.
Sure,
fully
please.
in agreement with you. The cybercrime first responder program that I was talking about, AICT approved program, it creates 4 type of people. One is first responder alone. He gives first aid. 2, the law enforcement agencies and the lawyers are the second category that we train. They are available to advise after training, of course, and volunteers. 3 is cyber psychologist, because a lot of times the victims actually get traumatized, especially young girls, women. They feel very embarrassed to go to the to the police station, making number of rounds to the police station, because police have different priorities on a given day. They have different work. They have many other works that they need to attend. not all police stations are cyber cells. Districts and blocks in many states don't have cyber cells. So they have to go to the nearest police station in any case, and it's a very traumatic engagement. So we have got the fourth category is the cyber forensicators, the forensic investigators. In fact, what you said is correct. We talk about the data analytics, we talk about the situational awareness, we talk about the simple common sense. There are many times where situations can be resolved with common sense itself. Of course, the technical skills are very, very, very essential. But police come there at that level. Now, what we are saying is, out of these four categories, 3 categories of people can intervene and prevent the situation from going worse. And the fourth category comes into picture when police ask for help, especially in rural areas or areas where there is no expertise available within the police. So this is exactly what we are doing, sir. And the Cop Connect platform is for that.
Right, sir. So just wanted to put a clarification on mine. What I'm also trying to say is there is a predictive analytics and there is a statistical analysis. Statistical analysis based on the historical data, whereas predictive analytics is where you're looking forward. I think that is what is critical to be able to anticipate where the cyber crime is, not only from the perspective of scheming or scamming of individuals, but also from the perspective of national security. Right, so what's happening, terrorism attacks, you know it better than I do. That's one, sir. And the second suggestion I have is, I think, the group captain, you mentioned about a 6-year-old or 13-year-old hacking Uber platform. I think that is ethical hackers. If we can have a program where we can develop that skill set amongst the youth, to say, go and take out, because ultimately who is the loser? The loser is the general public, whether it's Uber, Ola, even, for example, Truecaller gets hacked. Ultimately, the loser is not the company alone, but also the end user, right? So ethical hacking, we all know that Israel is big on that, right? So they have lots of programs and lots of companies. They actually do ethical hacking. So I think that is another skill that can potentially be developed in collaboration with institutions. Thank you very much.
Time is up, so I am not able to say much, but just 2 points I'll mention. One is the second aspect. I'll come first, sir. We have a large number of bug bounty researchers who are actually ethical hackers. And on top of it, each bug bounty researcher that is trained, AICTE and we, when we collaborated as a joint initiative, we said professional ethics, training, certification and rating is mandatory for them, because if police has to trust this individual, the confidentiality and other aspects come into picture. So the professional ethics is mandatory. So these 2 things are followed, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I got the signal from the organizers that I have to wind up the session. So to summarize, I think the PR is the biggest issue. There exists a lot of government initiatives, like there's a cyber volunteer concept is also there. If you visit cybercrime.gov.in, where you can report cybercrimes online, so there is a separate section for cyber volunteers, where the citizens can act as a volunteer in curbing the growing menace of cyber crimes. So I would now thank all the panelists for sharing their valuable experience with the audience. Thank you so much, sir.
May I kindly request our panelists and our moderator to please stay back. For this wonderful session that we just had right now, may I kindly request Mr. Sudhir, the Mysuru cluster head from KDM, to present mementos to our esteemed gentlemen on stage. Come on, everybody, a round of applause for Mr. Sudhir, the Mysuru cluster head of KDM. So in this wonderful session of Cyber Lancers Securing the Digital Frontiers, we had this lovely session which went on, and we had with us Group Captain P.A. Naidu retired, and we had with us Ms. Pragya Mishra, and also we had Mr. C. Subramaniam, and we had Dr. M.S. Vijay Raghavan and Mr. Nitesh Sinha, and the session was moderated by Mr. Venkatesh Murthy. A huge round of applause to this wonderful people for doing this. It's a really, really insightful session, marking the final session of the Big Tech Show 2022 by the Karnataka Digital Economy Mission. And this is a Beyond Bangalore initiative, ladies and gentlemen. Idira ಕೊನೆಯೊಂದು ಹಂತದಲ್ಲಿದ್ದೀವಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಚಪ್ಪಾಳೆ ಬಹುಮೂಲ್ಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ so let's show them some love and energy for their wonderful contributions. Thank you so much. May I request Sudhir sir also to please stay back. We request all the panelists to come forward for a group picture. Thank you so much, gentlemen, and the lovely lady on the stage. Moving forward, we have a valedictory address by Sri Saji Matthew, the Executive Vice President of Infosys, who's out here with us. May I kindly request Mr. Shaji Matthew, sir, to please come on stage for the valedictory address, please. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, the EVP of Infosys, joining on the valedictory address.
Good evening, everyone. What a 2 days of tech show that we all have witnessed. As someone who calls Mysuru as his home, it's a proud privilege for me to be standing here in front of all of you as we conclude these 2 fantastic days of events. And also someone who has been trying his little bit to bring Mysuru as a tech hub for the last 10-15 years. As representing Infosys, we have taken the tech number in Infosys from about 1,000 when I joined to about 12,000 plus that it is today. Why I'm saying that 12,000 plus today is because some of you may have heard this morning that we do training, which is correct. We do training, but we also do a lot of software development in Mysuru. We've got 12,000 plus people currently. But if you look back, Mysuru as a destination, it is known for several things. It is known as a very innovative place. It is known as an entrepreneurial place. Of course, it is a cultural capital. We know that there are 18 GI, that is geographical indication tagged items from Mysuru, 18 of them. In my mind, that is actually an indication of the innovation that has been going on in our place for decades together, centuries together. And these are products which are innovated, invented in Mysuru. We are talking about Mysuru silk, we are talking about Mysuru agarbatti, we are talking about Mysuru sandal soap, Mysuru oil, and several other stuff. We have one of the highest GI tagged items in the country. So that is the kind of legacy that we have. We know that the largest democracy, India, if we have to do the voting, Mysuru, from here we have to produce that indelible ink and send it across the country. We are the only place that can be done. And there are several institutions of prominence in Mysuru. So Mysuru always had a big place. We all know that. But now we are talking about taking to even the bigger orbit. And as we heard this morning, what we have seen so far, what KDM has done so far, with industries have done so far, is really the trailer. The movie is yet to start. And there is a big future for us as a destination going forward. Now, part of the industry here in Mysuru, part of CII, we have really spoken about Mysuru as a destination for the last so many years. And we have done our bit in a small way, like making it as an IT destination, making it as tourist destination, and so on and so forth. Some things were done, but in my mind, there are a lot more to be done. But today, standing here and seeing what we have done in the last 1 year, as well as all the wonderful things that has been planned for the future, I truly believe now the time is ripe. Or shall I say, now all the stars are aligned in the right manner. There are several things in my mind that is contributing to it. First, we need the support from the government, and we have all the support from the government, especially with the Beyond Bengaluru initiative that the Karnataka government has taken up. We have all the support, and obviously they want to decongest Bangalore and develop many clusters outside. So that's, we have seen it today. Minister was talking about the various initiatives the government is taking and the investment the government is making, so that we know it's happening. Second, we need a catalyst to make some of this work. And the Karnataka Digital Economy Mission, with the able leadership of our vibrant leader, Mr. Sanjeev, we know that they have been able to achieve several things in the last 1 year. Several companies have already set up their base, and we know that there are many more in the pipeline. And we also know that Sanjeev does have a soft corner for Mysuru, and I'm sure he's going to give more importance to Mysuru compared to the other locations. That is second star. The third star, during the COVID, NASSCOM did a survey across the country, and they found that in Mysuru, there are about 30 different clusters or areas in and around Mysuru where there are several IT professionals are working for companies across India. Essentially meaning that there are so many talent already available in Mysuru. That is the third. Fourth, we do need talent, we need education. And we know that in Mysuru there are several engineering colleges, there are several degree colleges as well. Then we heard about the KSDC's plan for imparting education and skill development. That is the fourth star in my mind that is getting aligned. And the fifth, we do need infrastructure. And we heard about how KDM is working with the government to get the tech hub that Sanjeev said that will be available in the next 5 or 6 months' time. That's going to be a huge booster for the companies to come and set it up. So that is the fifth one. And the sixth one, for any tech hub to be active, you do need a very vibrant startup ecosystem. And we know that we have VC funding that is available. We had our own version of Shark Tank that is happening yesterday. So that is also a vibrant area that is happening. Seventh, the current geopolitical environment. We might think that with the recession talk that is going on and the economy slowing down, this is not the good time. But in my mind, this is a great time. Because when I talk to my clients across the globe, the US, Europe, Asia Pacific, they have a severe cost pressure, and they are looking to see how can they outsource more and more work. So in my mind, this is a great opportunity for us to build something in places like Mysuru. And the eighth star that is getting aligned is obviously all the infrastructure. Now, we've been talking about infrastructure connectivity for the longest time, but now we know that our 10-line highway is going to be operational. Honorable MB said that it's going to be ready in the next 2 months or so. We know that the airport is getting expanded. So putting all these 8 stars together, and I'm sure there are many more if all of us if we put our thinking hat. For the first time in the last 10, 15 years, I've been associated with the industry here in Mysuru. I am seeing all these stars are aligned. And because of that, I do believe that this time we are there for a great ride. As per the IMF, International Monetary Fund, India is going to become the 3rd largest economy in the world by FY28. So we're going to overtake Germany and Japan. Today we are the 5th. We recently overtaken UK, as you know. This is in the nominal GDP terms. We're going to be the biggest economy, a 5 trillion plus economy. We heard the minister saying that we want to be a 1 trillion plus economy in IT in the next 3 years' time. So this is indeed the right time when things are happening across the globe, when technology is really the one which is driving this kind of growth. We are setting our sail to become a global destination. And like I said, I am truly convinced that this time it is going to happen. And I'm really looking forward to that day where Mysuru is known as one of the global hub of IT and technology across the globe. So once again, a big thank you to Mr. Sanjeev and the KDM for arranging this fantastic event. And I know this will become a catalyst for taking Mysuru to the big global stage. And all of us here will be looking forward to those great days. Thank you once again. Godspeed.
My request, Shadisha, to please stay back. Can I please have Mr. Shaji Matthew, the EVP of Infosys, to please be on stage? And can I request Commander Mahima Marine, the GM of Admin KDM, to please come forward to present a memento? And ladies and gentlemen, we had a very, very wonderful person working on the back end with us. It was Jyotsna Joshi, the program manager from for the Beyond Bangalore initiative from KDM. So thanks to her as well. But can we have a memento, please? Can I quickly have a memento? Lovely, wonderful valedictory address by Sri Shaji Matthew. Come on, everybody, let's hear it for him, the Executive Vice President of Infosys. Thank you so much for being with us from the start till the end, sir. It's an immense pleasure having you. Thank you. Finally, coming to a wrap of this two-day event is a vote of thanks. To present the vote of thanks, may I request Mr. Shiv Shankar, the CEO of SDC STEP, to please come forward on the Jorada Chappale Mukantra Namma Mysuru Navaradanta Shiv Shankar Sana Vetiki Mel Swagata Karona. Please, let's hear it for Mr. Shiv Shankar, CEO SDC STEP.
Right. Very good evening, one and all. Shaji left, I think. Right. I think, thanks, Shaji. I think you set the context for the vote of thanks, and then summing up the entire 2 days effort, the entire KDM team has put to deliver this kind of a intense and value-based kind of engagement for the Mysuru. So may I request the entire KDM team to take the front seat here, please. The entire KDM team, please, and all the volunteers. Right. I think if somebody is witnessed from last 2 days, sitting here from yesterday morning and today again going through the walkathon and then summing up this 2 days effort, and it's a big list to for me to read out, but I know that everybody is exhausted, and I'll keep it simple and I'll go with straight to the institutions and limiting the calling out the names, right? Key important people across the institution, government, and especially KDM, they put their tremendous efforts. It's just not just 2 days what you saw from yesterday and today, but maybe a planning, it goes to many months. So that itself, I don't think if you ask anybody other than me, I know the pain point of organizing such an events, and especially in Tier 2 cities. So what have we learned in last 2 days? Means it's a fantastic to see it's a kind of KDM 1 year anniversary in Mysuru kind of stuff. So we felt that, and thanks to Sanjeev, leading that from the front and then making it happen, and all the promises which has been. Now the promises is kind of a commitment which has been shown to deliver to cities like in Mysuru, which is kind of challenging in terms of culturally rich, in terms of yes, it is very adaptable in that. And why the people, industries, institution, startups, investors needs to come to Mysuru, and what kind of a talent we got, and how to make it available to the outsiders, but they need to come and establish in Mysuru itself. So that the value itself is so big. We may not be able to witness on the surface immediately, but this maybe down the line when you take the statistics and looking into that, the initiative of the KDM the last year, maybe after 5 years, we may go back and look at that, hey, that initiative has made this transformation today after maybe in 2025, 2026, when you're looking at, that is what we are going to see it, right? Again, I'll go to the main dignitaries has been enable this kind of things. I know is the support which has been going around for the KDM, right from the top, Sri Rajiv Chandrasekhar, Honorable Minister of state of the skill development and entrepreneurship, electronics and information technology of India. So it's key that I've seen Rajiv Chandrasekhar, the love of Karnataka and also particularly to the Mysuru. So we'll heartily congratulate and thanks to Sri Rajiv Chandrasekhar. Similarly, on the state level, without the state support, this kind of a things, initiative is never possible. And taking the key message to the every nook and corner of the Karnataka and creating those kind of a clusters, knowing what is available and what needs to be done, and holding and also now taking the confidence of local leaders and enablers, the partners, is very key. And in that way, Department of Government of Karnataka first, and then Department of Electronics, Information, Science and Technology and Biotech, led by none other than Dr. C.N. Ashwath Narayan. So that's the powerhouse. If at all witnessed all these things in last 1 year, the key enabler, key supporter, initiator. So we wholeheartedly thanks Dr. C.N. Ashwath Narayan. I'm proud that he's one of my, what I can say, I've been lived in that constituency for many years. I know how he operates, and one of the key tech-driven person in his constituency. I'm proud that I know he's able to deliver across the Karnataka itself. So we heartily congratulate and thanks to Dr. C.N. Ashwath Narayan. And the department itself is very critical in this. So led by Dr. E.V. Ramana Reddy, I think I need not to explain again. So the entire morning we know the kind of support, the effort, and also the initiation which has been extended to the KDM across the Karnataka and also the cluster. So we thank Dr. E.V. Ramana Reddy, IAS, Additional Chief Secretary, Department of Electronics and ITBT, and his team led by Meena Nagaraj, Managing Director of KTS, and subsequently cascading into the KDM. So I'll come to the KDM last. So I know that they are the key people to deliver this kind of a thing. I'll go to the industry leaders because KDM is all about bringing those enablers and ecosystem partners together and making it happen. And it's a lot of effort because the diversity is more, the dynamics are more, and the expectations are also very much different on its own itself. So I thank all the industry leaders from Mysuru, beyond Mysuru as well. So they are able to make this kind of creating an opportunity itself is a big, big thing in Mysuru. And some of the key people also be coming here. I think driven by, again, Mr. B.V. Naidu, his vision to Karnataka and vision to specific districts and regions speaks on its volume itself. And this is the kind of a strategic decision is required to make a transformation, just not only a change. I don't think the change is good enough for any of this, the speed at which we are operating in this economy. It's required a transformation so that it stick for a very long term. So that experience is of B.V. Naidu from in the last 3 decades of his experience has been, we're able to see through these kind of actions and developing leadership through, again, Sanjeev is fantastic. So wholehearted thanks to Mr. B.V. Naidu, Chief Executive Officer, Karnataka Digital Economy Mission, Chairman. And again, the people behind, many industry people and also the consulate has been here this morning. So I heartily congratulate them for being here. And I note that, so why they need to be here as well. So the message from both the consulate is very clear. So beyond the Bangalore, they are also looking, because if the message needs to go back to other country, what they need to look at? Is it only Bangalore? No. So Mysuru is on the international map already from many centuries. Now this another reason for the people, especially Britishers coming and talking about that. It speaks another language itself. It's the other way now. So they want more talent. I've been there. I know the kind of things they are wanted. And it's been heartening to see that they come and listening to the entire day of proceedings in the morning and taking a message out and communicating back to the government itself. So thanks to all the consulate people coming in and supporting us as well. And all the partners, industry partners, been there. I'm not going to name, the top 6 is already there in that. So congratulate and thanks to, on the behalf of the KDM and then the Mysuru cluster division. So all they are supporting, I think those things itself is again reminds me that and how important each of them is on its own. So bringing those people, committing their time and committing their possibilities which they wanted to do in Mysore. So thanks to all the people on the behind which they're able to enable this kind of initiative. Otherwise, these kind of things was not easy, and it's very difficult on its challenging itself. And enablers in Mysore, which I already mentioned, and participants. I know how hard it is we are doing something here at the Mysore, and it is for the growth of the Mysore itself. And who else get the benefits other than the Mysore in itself in terms of the job, prosperity, economy kind of, and is a different thing. So getting those participants, those who can add value, and also taking a value back as well. So big thanks for all the participants coming from institution, coming from the industry representation, from various associations. It speaks a volume like TIE, CII, YI, so many other in the list. I can keep on reading STPI, STEP, Cyberbuzz, ISAC, so many are there. So these are the, invisible, associations, people, and again, association led by people with the strong leadership of the friend, contributing everything which is needed. Simple reason, a single reason for the development of the Mysore. That's the only single agenda which it is driven like. The last, and maybe not the least one, all the volunteers. I know that it looks smaller, but it's significant. We value your time, and there is a lot of learning for you as well, knowing where you are heading towards that. So all the volunteers from Vidyavardhaka College and also other institutions, a big thanks to each one of you. So spending your 2 days here and supporting that as well. Now I request entire Cadent team led by Sanjeev sir from the whole Mysore ecosystem, and personally, a big thanks to you taking this initiative, and not only initiative, with a lot of pain in this kind of an engagement. So many people, different expectations, different needs, and bringing the whole of all of them together, and contributing in whatever their capacity and level itself is significant. And we have seen that from last 1 year, how these challenges has been addressed, and still is going to be a challenge for the next few years, which has been still evolving. KDM as an institution, we know that it is evolving, and it will be a lot better, lot matured, and then deliver so many things. Expectations, you already raise the expectations of the people, and you raise yourself the bar very high now. So I request Mr. Sanjeev to be on a stage, please. So please give them a big round of applause. So man driving the entire thing, I know that how much the pain it goes into that. This is not only Mysuru, but before that is in Hubli and Bangalore. And I know there is some lessons also learned in those those two events as well. But Mysuru is different because it is home turf. The expectations are more from the Mysoreans as well. And all the supporting staff, or maybe the people who are enabled the KDM. So the entire KDM team, I request everybody to be join Sanjeev on the stage. A big round of applause to entire KDM team who made it possible these 2 days. Intensity, the parallel sessions, number of sessions, and the kind of speakers we have seen is from last 2 days. Is fantastic on its own. Kind of a messages we are drawn from is significant. Please, all of you. See, all of you deserve, I request everybody, a big round of applause. Yeah, and again, the media partners, press, thanks to Inside Out team, Tech, making this happen. Active. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you can stand up and give them, standing ovation and, thanks to them. So, they deserve more. So, what you've seen from last 2 days is a big one, and it's an opportunity created for everybody. They have shown what it can be done if the leader in the front has been taken that initiative through Sanjeev, and all the support, everybody's contribution is significant. And I don't want to forget the last 2 days, our MC, Mr. Nikhil Bharadwaj. So I request him as well to join on the stage. So please give him a round of applause as well. So you've done a fantastic job. So nice. So being a Mysuru, we know that we love what you do, because this is required for the Mysuru. Everybody's contributed. I know that you've done a brilliant job. So keeping flexibility, knowing the challenges, the delays and adaptabilities is very, very, very significant. So ladies and gentlemen, the KDM team.
And collect a small certificate of appreciation from our end. And the people who we missed out, special thanks to the venue people, Radisson Blue, for this wonderful place. A round of applause for the entire media team sitting there, sounds and lighting people, super job, thank you so much. And photographers, videographers, thank you so much as well. But volunteers, here we go, one by one. First, Mr. Nikhil R, can I please have you forward? Mr. Mayur. Okay, I'll call quickly all the names. I want everybody up on stage. We'll hand it over. Yes, one by one. So it's going to be Mayur, Prajwal, and stay back on stage after you receive. Aditya, Sampanna, Rakshita, Yogesh, Chandu, Darshan, Mohammed, Anirudh, and last but not the least, Ashita. So, yarar kutira dayabiಟ್ಟು ಚಪ್ಪಾಳೆ ತಪ್ಪಿದೆ the students of Vidyavardhaka College of Engineering. So, all the volunteers, a lovely group picture with the C of KDM. So, with that, ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಮುಕ್ತಾಯ ಸಂಪನ್ನವಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ನಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗೆ ಇರ್ತಿರೋ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಸಹ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. So, this is the Big Tech Show 2022, signing off on behalf of the Karnataka Digital Economy Mission and a Beyond Bangalore initiative is the Big Tech Show at Mysuru. Thank you so much. Elrigu ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದಾಗಲಿ. Happy Diwali to all of you. Let the festival make it big with the Big Tech Show happening in Bangalore. See you all soon, safe and sound. Adarsh and team, can we please have you on stage well? So, those are people working with at the back end on the social media team. Thank you so much, Adarsh and team. Abhinav, Vishruta, and Srinidhi. All three of you, the back-end team. A round of applause for them, please. They're making all the presents with social media. A small group photo with the lovely social media team. So, in a special way of saving, thanks to all the lovely people who stayed back till the end, you get a lovely offer of 1+1. You can have 2 cups of tea or coffee and a biscuit of your choice. Thank you so much for being with us. This is your Mysuru Connect. Stay blessed, everyone. Cheers. And this marks the Big Tech Show, the completion. Thank you.